Hello everyone, myself Ishrat Farhana, working as English faculty in Tribal Welfare Residential Degree College at Suryapet. First and foremost, I would like to thank Gurukulam Society who has initiated this wonderful online teaching opportunity which remains beneficial to the students and many other viewers too. I would like to suggest 3 golden rules, that is wear mask, wash hands and maintain social distance. This gonna save your life. As a part of online lecture presentation, I would like to discuss my views on the topic titled Of Studies by Francis Bacon. Of Studies, this is considered to be an essay by Francis Bacon. So coming to the point, what is an essay? We often wrote many essay writings, and students write essay writing, they participate in essay writing and most of them won prizes. So this is also one of that kind of essay which is very formal. So coming to the description of an essay is a prose composition of moderate length which aims to explain or elucidate an idea, a theory, an impression or a point of view. So here we get a clarity on essay that it's a composition of some length which aims to explain or elucidate any point of the view of any topic, and we get clear conclusion with that. Why to write an essay? Why should we write an essay? Are there any benefits in writing essay? Writing an essay helps us to express our ideas more clearly and effectively and can convey our valuable insight towards the topic. So with the help of writing essays, we can convey our ideas more effectively and more clearly. So as a part of my presentation, I have chosen this Of Studies by Francis Bacon. Coming to the author's background, Francis Bacon was an English statesman, essayist and philosopher. He was born in London in January 22, 1561 year. He became member of parliament in 1584 and took prominent part in debate of every sessions in the House of Commons until 1614. Influenced by French writer Michel de Montaigne, Francis Bacon borrowed the time essay which was popular at that time. The essays is the chief literary product of his experience as a practical man of affairs. He published 10 essays in 1597 and by 1625 has revised and expanded the collection of 58. So what are the contribution and achievements of Francis Bacon is? He is often called the father of modern science. He is not only a prose writer but he is also regarded as a modern science because of his numerable experiments on scientific revolution. He initiated a massive reformation of every process of knowledge for the advancement of learning, divine and human. As the creator of empiricism, empiricism means the theory of experiments basing upon the reality. Francis Bacon formulated a set of empirical and inductive methodologies for setting off a scientific inquiry known as the Baconian method. His call for a plotted procedure of inquiring things with an empirist naturalistic approach had a profound impact on the rhetorical and theoretical framework of science. So he had contributed a lot to scientific revolution. Later life and death, Francis Bacon was appointed as Lord Chancellor in 1618. Unfortunately, he was accused of bribery and was forced to resign, after which Bacon retired to his state, continuing with his literary, scientific and philosophical work. He died of pneumonia in Highgate, London on April 9, 1626 at the age of 65 years old. Sir Francis Bacon is the most notable and influential writer of the Elizabethan period of English literature, who recognized as a philosophical essayist. His essays are dealt with universal thoughts and ideas which are needed for all the spheres of life. Writing career, a letter of advice to Queen Elizabeth, Bacon's first political memorandum. 1597, in the year 1597, his first publication of Bacon, which is collection of essays about politics. And then second part of Bacon's large work, The Great Insaturation. Book 2 is a detailed explanation of Bacon's method using various examples. Novum Organum, it's a Latin work. He used to write many books mostly in Latin. So Novum Organum is nothing but new method. Novum means new and Organum means method. So he installed new methods of approaching scientific revolution. And then he has written The New Atlantis. It was published in the year 1624 and in English in 1627. Latin 1624 and English in 1627. In this work, Bacon portrayed a vision of future of the human discovery and knowledge, expressing his aspirations and ideals for mankind. Then he is the philosophical inspiration behind the progress of industrial age. He is responsible for the industrial age today. He authored several books and essays about law, religious, moral and civil medications. Francis Bacon is often called the father of modern science. Baconian method, inductive methodologies for scientific inquiry, that is scientific method. He introduced a method called Baconian method, which means you should completely believe on experiments, a theory of experiment, then only you should approach it or you should do it, you should follow it. Without any experiments, you should not blindly believe it. That was his aim regarding this Baconian method. He contributed a lot to scientific revolution. Coming to the essays by Francis Bacon, he has written overall 60 essays. So we can see, if you want to read anything which is related to your interest, then you can go with this. I will read once all the essays of truth, of death, of unity in religion, of revenge, of adversity, of simulation and dissimulation, of parents and children, of marriage and single life, of envy, of love, of great place, of boldness, of goodness and goodness of nature, of nobility, of seditions, of atheism, of superstition, of travel, of empire, of counsel, of delays, of cunning, of wisdom for a man's self, of innovations, of dispatch, of seeming wise, of friendship, of expense, of the true greatness of kingdoms and estates, of regiment of health, of suspicion, of discourse, of plantations, of riches, of prophecies, of ambition, of masks and theorems, of nature in man, of customs and education, of fortune, of usury, of youth and age, of beauty, of deformity, of building, of gardens, of negotiating, of followers and friends, of suitors, of studies, of faction, of ceremonies and respects, of praise, of vain and glory, of honor and reputation, of judicature, of anger, of insidious of things, of fame, a glossary of archaic words and phrases. Out of these 60 essays, I have chosen this of studies which we are going to discuss now, that is 15 number. If you have any interest towards this essays, if you are completely interested in these such topics, please go through these essays, which gives you a lot of knowledge and relaxation. In this essay, Bacon gives an ideas on the benefits of reading books, the way books to be studied, effects of excessive indulgence in books, to weigh and consider rather than argument. Books help in curing of mental illness. Here, in this essay, what writer meant to say is, books doesn't say how to read, we should read them, isn't it? Books never tell us how to read them. We have to read them, we have to approach them in a correct manner, then only we can gain a lot of insight from the books. So, benefits of reading, what are the benefits we get when we read books, and what are the ways how the books to be studied, how the book is to be followed, how it should be studied. And then effects of excessive indulgence in books. If you completely read and read and read, then what happens? He shows that excessive effects also. And then to weigh and consider rather than argument. We should read to weigh and consider rather than arguing with others, and book helps in curing of mental illness. So some people will be having lot of defects, books will be a great helpful for them. If you read books, your mental illness will be cured. And coming to the point of studies, which is a very popular and famous essay, you can observe this about Francis Bacon is that he never give any introduction. He never bothers about giving an introduction. He just dwell rightly into the topic. Here, studies serve for delight, for ornament and for ability. Here, our writer Francis Bacon talks about three benefits, that is, studies serve for delight, for ornament and for ability. Studies gives us delight. Delight means joy, and for ornament, for the sake of showing others, we study. And for ability, it means if we study, we can be able to do anything. Their chief use for delight is in privateness and retiring, for ornament is in discourse, and for ability is in the judgment and disposition of business. So, their chief use for delight is in privateness and retiring. If you are very tired and if you want to relax, then you can have some books and you can read. You will get a lot of pleasure. You read that not for any competition or you just want to read, you want to gain pleasure, that is. And second is for ornament is in discourse. Discourse in the sense we often go to meetings, we attend public meetings, we give speeches, lot of things. Then we can say that, for example, Ishrat Farhana MA in English, I can give my studies qualification or show off, I can show off that. So this studies helps us for ornament. Ornament in the sense decoration, how we decorate our body with the help of jewelry to show off others, right? We feel very happy. In the same way, studies also serves for ornament. Then for ability is in the judgment and disposition of business. So last advantage of studies is for ability. With the help of studies we can able to judge anything, we can learn anything, we can practically experiment anything rather than believing on superstitions. So this third one helps us to grow larger and think a big. And then to spend too much time in studies is sloth. To use them too much for ornament is affectation. To make judgment only by the rules is the humor of a scholar. Here what the writer wants to say is, he says the effects, excessive effects. If you read much, if you spend much time in studies, what happens? It shows laziness. So you should read, but you should not completely read and read and read. You should not do that. And then excuse me, to use them too much for ornament is affectation. If you completely go on discoursing about things, if you completely go on showing off others, then it leads to affectation. Affectation means the use of artificial things, show off. It is completely artificial, that is of no use. And then to make judgment wholly by the rules is the humor of a scholar. What the writer is telling here, see the line, to make judgment wholly by the rules is the humor of a scholar. If you completely depend on studies rather than without believing the reality, if you go on with the studies, then that will be a humor, that will be a joke. Even if you are a scholar also, it looks like a joke. So a person should be always have some considerations, have some adjustments. He should go with the practicality. He should learn with the help of books, but completely depending upon the books and judging everything, then you will be a joke in front of others. Then our writer moves on to another aspect, that is their perfect nature. Here they mean studies. Their perfect nature and are perfected by experience. For natural abilities are like natural plants that need pruning by study, and studies themselves do give forth directions too much at large, except they be bonded in by experience. Here what our writer is saying is their perfect nature, studies perfect nature and are perfected by experience. Studies can only perfected by the experience. Without experience, our studies are of no use and they are incomplete. For natural abilities are like natural plants. See here the wonderful comparison the Francis Bacon has done on this. Like he has compared natural abilities with natural plants. That need pruning by studies. For example, if you allow the plants to grow as they wish, you forget not to cut it or not to water it and you just leave the plants, then what happens? They grow in a different directions according to their wish. There is no systematic arrangement of the stems or the branches, anything. So if you prune it, if you care it, if you handle it, then it looks more beautiful, it looks healthier, it grows very faster. So here plants, he compared natural abilities with the plants. In the same way, if you don't get the experience of the studies, if we completely study, then it's of no use. With the help of experience only we go in a correct manner. Many of the teachers or your elders tell you to study, but if you don't study with the experience, then that studies is of no use at all. So here studies gives us direction how to lead our life. And here our Francis Bacon also given lot of importance to experience. Without experience, studies are considered as very incomplete. So you should always get lot of experience with the help of studies. Then coming to the another aspect here, crafty men contemn studies, simple men admire them and wise men use them. For they teach not to their own use, but that is a wisdom without them and above them, and won by observation. Here what the Francis Bacon is telling is, crafty men contemn studies. Crafty men means the people who are very intelligent, very wise. So they contemn studies, in the sense they never bother about the studies. They feel like studies are of no use. They can manage even without studies also. They can lead their life without studies. So they have such good knowledge. They can pretend like that. They feel like there is no use of studies, that's all. And then simple men admire them. Simple people are the people who are considered to be less educated, and they adore education very much. They like to study and they respect the people who are much studied. So simple men just admire the people who are educated, or they love the education. And wise men use them. Here the point you can see, wise men use them. The people who are wise, they will use the studies as how they want, and how the studies are benefited. And for they teach not their own use, but that is a wisdom without them and above them, won by observation. How does this wisdom come to wise people? Because it is won by observation. Without observation and without experience, you cannot get wisdom, right? So here wise men use them by the observation, and they make the best use of education. For expert men can execute and perhaps judge of particulars one by one, but the general counsels and the plots and marshalling of affairs come best from those that are learned. So expert men, what they can do, they can execute lot of judges like particulars one by one, but the general counsels and the plots, they are marshalling of affairs. And best people, they are learned. From best knowledge will be coming from the people who are very much learned, not the expert people, not the councils, not the plots, but the people who are very much learned. They only can make most of the best of education. Then coming to the other line, that is, read not to contradict and confute, not to believe and take for granted, not to find talk and discourse, but to weigh and consider. Here Bacon explains about the importance of reading. How should reading be done? So read not to contradict and confute. It means you should not to read for the sake of confusion or for argument with others, not to believe and take for granted. You should not believe whatever you see or whatever you read. For example, if there is a news in newspaper that somebody has done something wrong, or somebody has corrected, even they are your friends also, you don't think for a while, you just believe blindly that, oh, he has done this wrong thing, so he is bad. We often give assumptions, isn't it? So what Francis Bacon tells us is not to believe and take for granted. Don't believe anything you read. Just you go into the depth of that. Why is it written? What are the uses of that? What are the reasons behind that? You should go with that, and then only you should understand it, and then you should believe it. And not to find talk and discourse. You should not always study only for the purpose of talking or expressing your views. This should be done, but most often you should not do. You should not always talk, but to weigh and consider. So what you should do with the reading, you should weigh and consider. What are we reading? Are we considering it or not? Are we applying in our life or not? We should weigh the realities and take considerations in our real life. And then see, this line actually we feel somewhere, like we often see this quoted in all the like Google or all the other things. We never know that these quotes are written by Francis Bacon. See how beautifully he has written about the books. Some books are to be tasted, others to be swallowed, and some few to be chewed and digested. That is, some books are to be read only in parts, other to be read but not curiously, and some few to be read wholly and with diligence and attention. See here, our writer is telling about the books. Some books are to be tasted, others to be swallowed, and some few to be chewed and digested. That means some books we just read for taste, that's it. It doesn't mean that you should read all the complete book. If you read some of the main things, you can understand with that. Then others to be swallowed in the sense, when we get affected by fever or some other thing, we take a tablet and we swallow, isn't it, out of dislike also. we swallow it. We don't feel the taste also. For the sake of our recovery, we swallow. In the same way, some books are to be swallowed. It means like, I can give the example of a examination point of view. We often swallow and we remember in a rote learning method, and some few to be chewed and digested. But here the third category of books we should chew and digest. It means what is written in that, what are we doing, are we applying it or not. This third category of books is very important in your life. Some books are to be read only in parts, other to be read but not curiously, and some few to be read wholly with diligence and attention. In the sense, we should be read with lot of concentration, lot of focus. You should not completely deviate. If you deviate, then your complete reading goes wrong. So here third categorization of books are given lot of importance. And then reading maketh the full man, conference a ready man, and writing an exact man. Here you can see the word maketh. Actually this is a Latin term, Latin word. Maketh is nothing but makes. Reading makes a full man, conference a ready man, and writing an exact man. Here Francis Bacon describes the three skills, that is reading, conference and writing. Reading, if you read, then you will get a full man. Here means a man of knowledge, man of experience, man of good intellectuals, man of good information. So if you read a lot, then you will gain lot of knowledge and you will be able to express anything clearly. Conference a ready man. Conference in the sense, some people are very much interested to talk and talk and talk. They love to conversate. Whatever topic you give under the sun, they are very ready to discuss. So those people are very ready man. Whatever the topic you give, they go on telling, they go on talking. They have no problem with the talking. And writing an exact man. Writing an exact man means, you can see, you can observe, some people always write to-do list and not to-do list. They follow whatever they have to do, they have to write, and they maintain diary, all these things. They maintain punctuality. With the help of writing, they will become exact man. It means they never forget anything. They can go with the life in a smooth manner. They can also enter all the things, to do list, like that. We often see some people, they are very exact people. They are the real people, I can say here. And writing helps us to improve our vocabulary, improve our diction, many more. And therefore, if a man write little, he had need have a great memory. If he confer little, he had need have a present wit. And if he read little, he had need have much cunning to seem to know that he doth not. Here again the word, last word, that is doth. Doth means, it's a Latin term, that is doth. Okay. And therefore, if a man write little, if a person is writing little, it means that he have a great memory. Some people doesn't write at all. They just remember. It means they have a lot of memory power. If some people are writing, then no need of any memory power. They can go with the notes, or they can go through with the notes. They can get a lot of information. No need of memory. See here the comparison and contrast done here. If a man write little, he need have a great memory. Okay, if he is writing little, if he is not writing at all, he has not good memory power. Then, if he confer little, he had need have a present wit. Suppose some people doesn't talk much, they are very silent. It means that they need have a present wit. They should have presence of mind. Even if they don't talk also, they can use their brain whenever required. If he read little, he had need have much cunning to seem to know that he does not. Some people actually read little, they don't read much. But what do they do? They act like they read. They should always pretend like we are very much educated, we read a lot. They have to pretend. At least they have that cunning ability. Suppose a person is not reading a lot, then he should have that cunning ability that he is pretending. He should pretend always that he knows everything. History, then coming on to the next aspect of how different subjects give different kinds of knowledge to people. Histories make men wise, poets witty, the mathematics subtle, natural philosophy deep, moral grave, logical rhetoric able to content. Here he has given a lot of subjects about which how man is benefited from this. So coming to the histories make men wise. Here if you study history, people become wise, because with the help of history, we can see a lot of kings, how their life used to be, how their death is caused, what are the mistakes they have done, what are the contributions they have done. We can learn a lot from histories. But till today also, no one is following history, because we are doing a lot of mistakes. Even we read history also. So history should be read to become wise. And then poets witty. Witty means a person of very intellectual, high intellectual knowledge, everything. If you read poetry, then you will be very intellectual, you will have a lot of knowledge, and you will be very clever. That's why you see writing poetry is not that much easy. It needs lot of diction, lot of vocabulary. You require lot of things for writing poetry. So if you read poetry, you will become very clever. And mathematics subtle. If you read mathematics, you will become very much focused or concentrated. Subtle. Otherwise, you cannot, because doing mathematics problems you need lot of concentration, right? So with the help of maths, you can get lot of focus. Then natural philosophy deep. If you learn philosophy, that makes you read depth. Everything you will be reading in a depth. What is this? What are the causes? What are the benefits? Why should I do? If you read natural philosophy, then you can learn everything in detailed manner. Moral grade. If you read morality, it means if you read ethics, then you will become very serious about your life, and you follow the ethics, and you will go with your life in a serious manner without committing any mistakes. Logic and rhetoric able to contend. If you read logic or if you read rhetoric means a kind of argument thing like that. So logic and rhetoric will able to contend, will make you to argue much, will help you to argue in discourses, will help you a lot in argument, to better your argument, to better your performance. And Ablium studia in modes, this is a Latin term which means that studies passes into our character. Suppose if I am going on reading philosophy, that sinks in my character. If I read English literature will be sinking in my character. In the same way, whatever subject you read, that will sink in your character. Nay, there is nay in the sense it's a Latin word that means no. No, there is no stone or impediment in the wit, but may be wrought out by fit studies like as diseases of the body may have appropriate exercises. As how the body have all the exercises, in the same way every defect of the mind also have exercises. There is we cannot say that there is no cure for anything. There is a cure for everything, like as how these mental problems or physical problems have exercises. And then bowling is good for the stone and reins, shooting for the lungs and breast, gentle walking for the stomach, riding for the head and the like. Here bowling is good for the stone in the reins means Bacon is telling about bowling. Here bowling is not the cricket, I guess. Bowling is like throwing something, like how you bowl in the way if you rotate your hands and block. That is good for stone and reins. Stone in the sense here it is regarded as kidney stones. If some people have kidney issues, then they should do bowling exercise that will help cure them their kidney disease. Shooting for the lungs and breast. If you do shooting exercise, exert your chest muscles, then that will be helpful for your lungs and breast. Gentle walking for the stomach. If you walk, always these days doctors always suggest us to go for a walk for stomach. Here stomach in the sense it may be like digestive issues or belly reducing, all these things. So you should, after dinner or whenever you have a meal, you should go for a walking. That helps you. And then riding for the head. Here riding in the sense maybe horse riding in those days. Horse riding, if a person do horse riding, then bobbing up and down, that leads to blood circulation, isn't it? Then that is required for head in the sense for the smooth functioning of brain, neurons and all nervous system and the like. In the way he is telling about how physical exercises makes you physically fit. In the same way mental exercises also with the help of studies make you completely fit. So if a man's wit be wandering, let him study the mathematics. For in demonstration, if his wit be called away, never solely till he must begin again and again. If his wit be not able to distinguish or define differences, let him study the schoolmen, for they are simile centers. Here, what the writer want to tell is, if a man's wit be wandering, if a person is not focused, not concentrated, then what should we do? We should tell him to study mathematics. Because did you remember when we are doing any mathematical problem or when we are solving the mathematical problem, we need lot of focus and attention. If we miss one point also, the answer will be wrong, isn't that? So isn't that true? So we should need lot of focus and concentration. If you find anyone very confused and not able to focus, then you advise them to study mathematics. Here Francis Bacon is advising us to study mathematics if you lose your concentration. Then If he is bit not be able to distinguish or find differences, let him study the schoolman. Some people doesn't know how to distinguish between right or wrong, how to differentiate the good and evil, so they should study schoolmen. Here schoolmen means middle age philosophers. You should study philosophy, you should study the life of philosophers, how they lived, how they produce philosophy. If you read this, then you can find the differences between good and evil. For they are simile sectors. Simile sectors means, this is a Latin term which means hair splitters, in the sense how hair is developed inside in a very splitting way, in a minute matter. In the same way, these philosophers, study of philosophers will be in a detailed manner, in a complete depth. You should read philosophy, then you can able to distinguish between what is good and what is bad. If he not be able to beat over matters and to call up one thing to prove and illustrate another, let him study the lawyer's cases. So what he is telling, some people doesn't know to prove and illustrate other. They are very confused what is right, how to prove others, how to prove himself, what is the right thing he has done, what are the mistakes of others, how should he do. Then Bacon advises us to study lawyers' cases, because you can see these lawyers, they often read precedents before they are going to court, or before they are going to present their cases. They often go for precedents, in the sense there will be lot of books in their houses or in their libraries. They follow that because they want to know if any case existed before it and how it should be solved. In the same way, if you are unable to prove yourself or illustrate another people, then you should study lawyers' cases. Then your mind will be full of judging ability. And so every defect of the mind may have special receipt. In the same way, every defect of the mind will have special receipt. Receipt as how doctor give you receipt like precautions. If you have any stomach ache, they will tell you to take stomach tablets, isn't it? So in the same way, every defect of the mind will have a special receipt to overcome all the problems in your life. So such is the Bacon's essay, which gives you a lot of valuable insights. From this essay we learned a lot. And what are the explication of this essay are, it is very formal in tone, it has didactic approach, in the sense it conveys something morality. See, today we learned many things about studies. Parallelism in style, he used all the parallelisms, like if you read this, you will, if you don't read this, if you confer this, if you are writing, reading, conference, he is giving a lot of parallelism in style, and this is very straightforward essay which conveys morality. There is no indirect method, just he completely says. And did you see here, he never gives any conclusion. His essay starts abruptly and ends abruptly, without no introduction, or neither introduction nor any conclusion. Then my conclusion I have given for Francis Bacon, my analysis. This essay is regarded as Bacon's masterpiece, enriched with stylish vocabulary, fresh and new ideas, logical and relevant themes, and wisdom of the world. We can see all these things in his essays, and highlighting the importance of studies and illustrates the role of studies in individual's life. So here, how Bacon highlights the importance of studies, and how studies are helpful in our everyday life. And Bacon relates studies to the application of knowledge in practical life, and believes studies can only be completed by experience. If we just study, that is of no use. You should use in a practical manner, then only you can gain lot of things from studies. And he says studies cannot be completed without experience. So experience is must. Without experience, nothing is done in this whole world. Then Bacon's primary objective is the discovery of truth. What Bacon wants is, he never blindly believes, he wants the truth. He discovers the truth, then only he go with the thing. And then there lies the speciality of Bacon is, he allows us to interpret and understand ideas as we please. The main intention of Bacon's essay is that he allows us, he has written this essay and he allows us to read and interpret as how we like, as how we take that, whether positive or negative, that is up to us. So that is the speciality of Bacon's essay. And finally, last but not least, see the sentence, what Francis Bacon is willing to say. If all you do is study, and never use what you have learned, what have you achieved? If you only study to achieve recognition, what did you waste your time for? If your knowledge is narrowing your view instead of broadening it, what is the point of learning? See how beautifully he has a question. Once again, I want to repeat it. If all you do is study and never use what you have learned, what have you achieved? Think once. If you only study to achieve recognition, what did you waste your time for? If your knowledge is narrowing your view instead of broadening it, what is the point of learning? So think this and at least change your views on studies from today, and I hope this online presentation of studies will surely change your understanding towards studies, and it will benefit you and you will modify your thoughts towards studies. And finally, once again, I thank Gurukulam for giving this wonderful opportunity. And also I thank you for watching my video patiently. I hope this will change you in better way. Thank you all. Thank you for your time.